why would you take the risk? Like, what made you say, I'm going to do it? You ain't seen a lot of it. And I'm sure coming from where you came from, you knew it was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, what made you say, this is worth the risk?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is confidence in my calling.
Okay.
So we go back to the bridge. Yeah, I had confidence in my calling. I knew what I was called to do. And though some people thought it was just, CCM gospel, no, it's a calling altogether. Holistically, I am called to bring cultures together to worship. And so that's number one, having confidence in my relationship with God, which goes back to, the roots that, the same God that I worshiped when I was 10 is the same one that speaks to me now.
Yeah.
And I have confidence in his voice, and I know it very clearly. And so when this happens, you have that part of you that knows, man, this is about to be an uproar. But again, because of focus and being driven and being confident in what I'm supposed to do, I was here. I was so focused on this is what God said and this is what I'm going to do. I didn't put a lot of focus on what the backlash would be, and those around me didn't either. Because even my label, I have to give kudos to Motown because I knew it was a thing, but they didn't make it a thing. They were like, hey, we trust the God in you, and if you say this is what we're going to do, all hands on deck. This is what we're going to do. And so even the people around me were super supportive of the decision that I made to do it. And I would do it again. I would do it again today. I would do it again next year and the year after that.
Stand on it.
I stand on the fact that this is what God told me to do. And there's evident and fruit from it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it may take 2-3 years for you to see the fruit, but I've seen the fruit. I've seen people, and I've told you this before, people have sent messages like, I didn't listen to a gospel record at all until I heard that song. I didn't believe in God until I heard that song. Like those testimonies alone, just like Jesus, he'll leave the 99 for the one. So if I got to make the 99 mad to save the one, that's what I'm going to do.
Wow, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah. So what y'all think about that?
Okay, I'll talk. Everybody took their... Honestly, I don't have a problem with it. I think she said everything I would have said in the situation. God told her to do it. She felt led by the Holy Spirit to do it. The fruit's there. I think when anybody is saying God shared this or gave me to do this assignment or gave me this assignment, it should always be followed with fruit. So if the fruit is presenting itself, I don't have a problem with it. And I know for a fact that when God gives certain people a task, it might be something that looks confusing to other people. I look at Noah's Ark for that, for that example. He was the only one God gave that vision to. He looked crazy for 100 years, but then the fruit came. So that's between her and God. I don't have a problem with it. I think if she felt convicted and she still went with it, then it's wrong. But if we don't know if God really told her, but she's saying God told her. She says she's strong in her confidence with God, and the fruit's presenting itself. I'm all for it.
Yeah. I wonder, the question I always like to know is like, what is the fruit? Right? Is it 3 or 4 messages that are positive? Because, we notice that people do that. When people get backlash, they focus on the positive messages and say, see, I told you, see, I told you, see, I told you. But then the majority of the messages might be negative, right?
That's fair.
We get that same thing with us. You know what I'm saying? And so you almost wonder how much of your own bias are you putting into this conversation where you feel like you're right.
I got you.
Yeah, it's a tough thing.
Yeah, I can say the fruit she's expressed on the thing was people listen to gospel that never listen to gospel. Now they're opening, the seeds are being planted.
See, the tricky part about that is more people who never listen to gospel listen to gospel. More folks who never listen to Nicki Minaj probably listen to Nicki Minaj too. So it's a flip side to it. So at the end of the day, it gotta be something that you're led by the Spirit to do. It's tricky, man. 'Cause I believe certain people are supposed to navigate in the secular space. I think God has gifted some people to do that. Some people are not. Some people see the dollar sign, they see the fame, and they're using Jesus to push their own secular dreams. Only God knows the heart of man. I hope you're telling the truth. But I wasn't convinced by it, though, in the video when she said my label and stuff. They were behind me. They were like, yeah, we trust the God in you and stuff like that. This Motown, they're looking like, hey, if Nicki Minaj on the record, if it's going to cause controversy, it's gonna get streams, it's gonna get sales, it's gonna draw people to the record. Essentially, we're gonna get our money back.
I feel
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not too convinced because the label said they were behind it. That don't really mean nothing to me. The thing for me is, did God actually tell you to do that? Or did you see it as a big opportunity to have a big record to make money for your career? And that's what we do sometimes. I'm not saying that's what she's doing, but sometimes people will see an opportunity that seems too good to quote unquote let go. And then they will try to justify it and say, well, God told me. Did he really tell you that? Who knows? I can't say he did or he didn't. Yeah. But like Ryan was saying, with the fruit, a couple people saying, like, I never listened to gospel. If that's the case, I got a few people on the other end that said, wow, now my child know who Nicki Minaj is, but we really weren't exposing them to that kind of music. So, it just depends, but it just depends on God saying it's cool.
What if they share the same demo?
Tasha Cobbs and Nicki Minaj?
Yeah.
I doubt that.
I'm going to say this. I remember going to an event in Atlanta. It was like a oneness event where it's like all these churches got together and celebrated, trying to fight against racism at Stone Mountain Park and everything.
I remember that.
Yeah. So she was performing, and I remember her doing her thing. She was killing it. She was doing her thing. And I looked around and I started looking, and I was like, some of these people that are like going crazy for her look like they could be at Nicki Minaj's concert. Like, they literally look like they could be there. And in my mind, I was like, well, then that made sense of why that would have happened. And I'm coming, this is me coming from a marketing standpoint when I think like this. Like, they may share the same people that's like, I love Jesus, but if you come at me sideways, I'm going to tell you off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because she kind of Nicki returned the favor on her album when she put her on that song for Blessings. You remember her album? Yeah. So I think, to me, I think, with the only, like you said, the only scary thing is if somebody don't know who Nicki Minaj is and it goes, yo, there you go. Yeah. I think for me, my thing about the gospel industry, my only problem is it's so many other Christian rappers out there. I'm like, y'all don't want to get, I think certain people have, like Kirk, Mary, where they've given opportunities to some Christian rappers. But I'm like, it's so many Christian rappers that this kingdom mentality could go, and you can give somebody, like, you can give that look instead of Nicki, you can give that look to like Anike, you can get that look to Portia, you can get that, you know what I'm saying, those looks where somebody could be like, man, somebody's living this and rapping about this.
That's what I agree.
And that's my only thing, because my thing is about a Nicki is if somebody's like, oh, Nicki Christian, bet. So let me see what she talk about. Let me see what she post about. And then somebody could be like, oh, I could be a Christian and still do this. You know what I mean? That's my
The crazy thing about that was that Nicki came out with a campaign like right after that was really bad.
Oh, really?
It was like a couple weeks later, maybe even a couple of days later, when I was like, I listened, because I think we discussed it on Trackstarz.
Yeah.
So I listened to the track, was like, okay, all right, cool. She said she kept it clean, whatever. Of course, she was gonna keep it clean. But then it was like maybe 2 weeks later, I saw this campaign come out with Nicki Minaj, and I was like, oh, well, then there you go. That's everything. Everything just got thrown out at that situation, because it wasn't like, and that's the thing, is that I feel like I'm okay seeing these artists work with secular artists when they're building toward a change. But when you know that artist is not even considering a change, and it's not even like, making a dent in their spiritual walk, then why do it?
You don't see no growth in their and even with that, it's tough, because like I said, only God know the heart of man. Like you can go from smoking 10 blunts a day to smoking 5 blunts a day. I still see you smoking, but you actually making progress. You know what I'm saying? We really can't gauge the progress in somebody's heart. I just know the music industry is about money. You can say it's ministry all you want, even on the Christian side, it's business.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to spend money on the studio, buying production, getting mixing and master, doing marketing and promotion, putting all your stuff out there just for the Lord. Like, just be real. Like, you may love the Lord. You may want to see people get set free and delivered, but you want a return on your investment. Like, let's just be real about it. You want a return on your investment so you can invest more and make more money and probably take care of your family. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But it just bothers me when people act like that's not what's going on. I'm just sold out, set free for the Lord. I'm just, come on.
But also, too, I'll say this. Their relationship reminds me of CeCe Winans and Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
And it was so many times when I've heard stories of Whitney Houston where she would go see CeCe Winans in her darkest time and she'd be there for her. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I'm like, you could be friends with somebody, but at the same time, like CeCe had a standard. Like when she was talking about Whitney wanted her to be in I'm Every Woman video, and CeCe was like, no, she talking about casting spells. I ain't gonna do that. Mm-hmm. And then she was like, okay, I got another song. And then there was like a song about friendship, and she was like, okay, I'm good with that. You know what I mean? So she has like some type of standard about it. So in my mind, I'm like, that could possibly be their relationship where it's like, you know, whenever Nicki may be going through something, she may call Tasha, and Tasha be the only believing person that can really pray her through some stuff.
Yeah, you can't.
But I do also know, like you said, it is a business. You know what I mean? You got Nicki Minaj, who's one of the best female rappers on your record. People gonna be like, let me go check it out.
Two things can be right at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, just pray for these folks, man. Honestly, give them wisdom. You know, ask the Lord to give Tasha Cobbs wisdom. Ask the Lord to change Nicki's heart so that she can, you know, do music that glorifies the Lord if she's claiming Christ. Because I've heard her plenty of times say, I roll with Jesus. I'm not on demon time. I'm not this. I'm not. Jesus is real. Like, you know what I mean? So I just pray for her, man. Pray for these people, man, because they really need God to help them with wisdom and God to come in their lives and really like show them who they show who he really is in their lives.
Yep. So we had a poll on that question. Do you agree with Tasha Cobbs collaborating with Nicki Minaj in similar collaborations in the genre? 4% said I'm all for it. 40% said it depends or it varies. 24% said I disagree, but I get the intent. And then 31% said I disagree with it altogether. So y'all think that's a pretty decent balance? I was on the I disagree, but I get the intent. That's where I was. Yeah. I mean, I like I said, it just depends on whether or not you've had a conversation with a person and you see that they're going towards something better versus they're getting ready to put out a campaign that's getting ready to tear this whole thing down. Like,
but then that's been all the time too. I remember with Kirk and R. Kelly, and R. Kelly was telling Kirk one thing, and then he releasing something totally different. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, I want to do this gospel thing. I want to do this thing. And then he's like, I remember Kirk Franklin saying, like, I didn't know that he was about to drop this whole different album that he's telling me he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's you're caught in that as an artist and as a gospel artist, because there's going to be a lot of people that like your music because you got something positive. You got something that's God honoring. And deep down in their hearts, they want to do it too.
Right.
But they just caught up in this situation where they like money, God, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Said a woman said she gave her life to Christ after listening to the Tasha and Nicki song.
Oh, praise God.
It's a fruit.
Okay. I agree with that. That's
and like she said, like Tasha Cobbs said, like if I have to go for that one person and the 99 say I go for it. I just think for us, for people, for the Christians, it's like, you know, it's you look back and you look at that and you go, man, that's great. But then at the same time, the scary part is, like you said, if I got a daughter and she's like, see, Nicki good, Paul, let me listen to Nicki.
Now your daughter wearing a pink wig and small clothes.
It's such a gray area, right? Because we've been accused of this, right? When you cause other people to stumble.
Yeah.
We had somebody on our team doing social media for us, and they put out a photo. Y'all remember back in the day where there was this photo of a woman drinking a drink at a Steph Curry game. Yeah. And she had her finger out, the cup was hanging out, and it looked like she was kind of like, you know, thirsting after him or whatever. And so we put that out, like, I forgot what the caption was. It was something like, do you agree that this was, you know, inappropriate for her to look at a married man this way or something like that. And I started getting phone calls and text messages from other radio, you know, programmers saying, hey, man, y'all should probably take that graphic down because you're causing brothers to stumble out here. Like, you put this woman out here, she got, you know, tight clothes on, whatever. And I'm like, that wasn't our intent. We weren't trying to do that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, even if we said something about how it was going to minister to other people and get people to turn away from, you know, lusting or whatever, like, well, no, we just kind of turned that we kind of opened that door for them. So it just depends. I mean, I think that if the intent is, you know, something you're being sensitive about, then people can construe any message that you put out there. So I feel like that's
like I said, to go down to the heart of man. If God truly told you to do that, it's gonna be some things that God gonna tell people to do that nobody else gonna understand. They ain't supposed to understand because it's not what God is telling them to do. But it shouldn't go against Scripture for one.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? The Scripture got to be the final authority in everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
And then there's gonna be sometimes that people gonna be in their flesh and they gonna want to do something so bad they're gonna say God told me to do it to get y'all to back off. Yeah. 'Cause that's the trump card. When I say God told me to do something, that's supposed to make you be like, oh, shoot, if God said something, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes people just say that to make you leave them alone. So we don't know that. Only God knows.
Yeah, yeah.
But what if the Lord did tell her to do that?
Well, if he did, he did. Well, I'm not saying
it will be fruit, like I said.
Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't. She could be totally right. I'm not saying she wrong or right. I'm just saying we got to be cautious.
The optics.
Yeah, the optics.
But it is a gray area, like you mentioned. It's a gray area because that might not be the case for every artist.
Right. Right.